So, uh, is success always about where you start, or is it maybe more about where you choose to go? Today, we're diving deep into this really incredible story that kind of challenges everything we think we know about building something big from, well, absolutely nothing. And as we unpack Zayn's journey, what's one of the things that, immediately jumps out for you, that
I,
initial contrast?
yeah, it's a really striking contrast, isn't it? I mean, you see so many successful people born into wealth or, privileged maybe cities just bursting with opportunity. Zane's story, though, it starts somewhere completely different. A dusty, forgotten corner of the world, places where, like, clean water, consistent electricity, those are luxuries, almost unheard of sometimes.
Right. When I first read about his childhood, what really hit me was just how stark it was. I mean, imagine a childhood where your earliest memories aren't like toys or games,
Hmm.
but oil-stained shirts, broken sandals. Watching your father fix motorcycle engines, sweating in the heat for barely enough money to buy bread 12 hours a day,
12 hours, yeah.
and his mother washing clothes, just trying to scrape together a few extra coins. They
Oh,
never ever had enough.
and it's right there, isn't it? In that crucible of never enough, that constant struggle just to survive. That's where Zane learned this fundamental thing. The world really didn't owe him anything. He figured out fast if he wanted to survive, every single thing had to be earned. And that lesson, it wasn't just about grit. It was about this like extreme pragmatism.
Yeah. And by age 8, while other kids are, kicking soccer balls, he's helping his dad with wrenches. At 10, he's sweeping store floors, literally for half a meal.
Wow.
By 12, he'd already seen more hardship than, frankly, many people see in their whole lives.
Mm.
What kind of questions do you think that kind of upbringing sparks, especially with no outside guidance at all?
It's profound. Yeah. I mean, think about it. No internet, no YouTube, no coach, no mentor, nothing. But he was just consumed by these really big fundamental questions. He was asking, why are some people rich and others poor? Why do some families starve while others are off vacationing on yachts? Is it just luck? Or is there actually we're out?
Hmm.
And these weren't just like curious thoughts for him. They were survival questions. They just gnawed at him relentlessly and slowly. Yeah, they turned into this driving obsession. And this is where it starts to get really interesting.
Right, that obsession kind of culminates when he's 14. He overhears just one sentence, right, at the corner store where he worked. This kid in India made money online just using a laptop and Wi-Fi. Just that.
Wow. And for Zayn, that single sentence, it wasn't just information. It must have been like hearing someone whisper about a secret door, a secret door in a locked prison. It offered this totally unexpected, almost like mythical escape route from the life he felt trapped in. The whole idea that you could earn money without backbreaking labor, without a traditional job,
Hmm.
just using a device and a connection, that must have blown his mind.
Right.
Revolutionary.
He apparently didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, he borrows his cousin's phone-cracked screen and all walks 3 kilometers to the nearest cafe. Stands outside, basically stealing their Wi-Fi, and Googles
Hmm.
how to make money online without investment.
Hmm.
And what he found, it wasn't glamorous, not at all, but it felt possible. Things like freelancing, offering skills you could learn, virtual assistant work, helping people remotely, or writing product descriptions, selling tiny services on places like Fiverr. He didn't get most of it, not really, but he grasped the core idea that people were paying other people online for help, and he could learn to be one of those helpers.
And what's really insightful there, I think, is that he wasn't looking for some get-rich-quick button. He instinctively looked for immediate, practical ways to trade effort, trade learnable skills for actual income. It was this embrace of the unglamorous stuff, which, as we see again and again in his story, is often the key when you're building from absolute zero.
Yeah, definitely. And that day, it basically started a new life for him. Every single night after his really tough day job, he'd sit under a streetlight, scribbling notes on scrap paper, watching blurry YouTube tutorials, reading free blogs he could find, practicing everything on that borrowed phone.
And failing constantly. His first Fiverr profile, rejected.
Yeah.
His first blog attempt, made exactly $0. He tried drop shipping, affiliate marketing, those online surveys. Each one just kind of fell apart. It must have been so frustrating.
Incredible.
Yet he didn't quit. Why do you think that was? What kept him going through setback after setback?
I think he just couldn't afford to. His hunger wasn't really for money, not primarily. It was for freedom. Freedom from that cycle of poverty, freedom to choose his own way, freedom from that constant suffocating feeling of never enough that defined his whole childhood.
That makes sense.
That's what drove every single action. And then finally, at 16, after dozens of failures, hundreds of hours studying, practicing, he lands his first real gig, a small data entry job for $5.
$5, which, to most of us, that's coffee money. You barely notice it. But try to imagine being Zayn for a second. That
Yeah.
$5, it wasn't just cash. It was like a seismic shift. It was physical proof.
Yeah.
Proof that his crazy, desperate idea was actually real. It must have cemented that internal mantra he had. Okay, if I can make 5, I can make 50. If I can make 50, I can make 500. And if I can make 500, I can buy my freedom.
And it snowballed. That first client, they left him a 5-star review. And that review, as they often do, it led to a second client. Pretty soon, he's doing transcription, copywriting, VA work for clients in the US, Canada, Australia, all from this dusty room, no AC, one flickering light bulb.
That's incredible.
It's really remarkable when you think about it. By 18, Zayn was making more money each month than his father had earned in years.
That kind of financial turnaround, I mean, from absolute zero to out-earning his father's lifetime efforts by age 18, it's staggering. You'd absolutely expect, wouldn't you, that the first instinct would be to celebrate. Maybe, show it off a bit on social media. But Zayn did something completely different, something that really tells you a lot about his core philosophy.
He really did. Okay, so most people in that spot, they'd upgrade the phone immediately, right? Buy some new clothes, maybe start posting on Instagram, showing off a bit. Zayn did none of that. He bought a used laptop, he paid off his family's debts, and then he just vanished, disappeared from social media entirely.
And this brings us right to Zayn's pretty profound philosophy. When you're building an empire, you don't broadcast the blueprint. You build in silence. It's a fascinating idea. But, in today's world where everyone's talking about personal branding, networking, isn't there maybe a downside to being that quiet? How do you balance that focus with needing to connect?
That's a really good question. And I think for a lot of people, yeah, building that visible presence is crucial. But for Zayn, at that point, I think it was about eliminating every single distraction,
Yeah.
cutting out the noise, the need for external validation. Every single dollar he earned went straight back into learning. He bought books, invested in courses, looked for mentorships. He just devoured biographies of billionaires. He was
Yeah.
absolutely laser focused.
Yeah, and this wasn't just like casual reading, was it? He was strategically studying everything from sales and email marketing to personal finance, negotiation tactics, even psychology and productivity hacks. He did all this, as the sources say, not because it was fun, but because he saw it as necessary. Necessary to understand how wealth actually works, how it's created.
Right. Not leisure, but strategic necessity. Bridging those knowledge gaps, one critical topic at a time. So Zayn's journey, coming from that dusty corner of the world to building a digital empire. It's just such a powerful testament, isn't it, to relentlessly pursuing knowledge, pursuing freedom against unbelievable odds. It really underscores the power of just a single idea, coupled with that unwavering dedication no matter where you start from.
Absolutely. And I think a really profound takeaway from his story is how it shows that real wealth, it isn't just about the money in the bank. It seems to fundamentally grow from that intellectual curiosity, that strategic learning, really understanding human needs, even if you start with absolutely nothing. So yeah, this isn't just a story about getting rich. It's a deep dive into resilience, resourcefulness, and the incredible power of focused, silent growth.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? Zayn's path clearly wasn't about luck, was it? It was about asking those huge existential questions and then relentlessly hunting down the answers and acting on them, no matter what stood in his way.
Right. And if Zayn could build an empire by focusing on studying what was necessary rather than just what was fun or easy, it makes you think, doesn't it? What knowledge gaps might you barge in your own life if you brought that same level of sort of strategic necessity and silent dedication to your learning? What secret door might you find just by asking the right questions and chasing those answers, no matter the obstacles?